Let's see. I was born in Alexandria, Egypt.
Uh-huh.
My education is from UC Santa Cruz, where I studied psychology and visual studio art.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my double major. And then I got out and I worked with children in the kind of, I guess you can call them the residential counseling kind of position, kids who are left to the system. And it was kind of like a group home. And then I learned about what are my options in the field of psychology, and I learned about art therapy, which excited me because it allowed me to bring in my art to help people. So I went back and got my master's in marriage, family therapy, and art therapy. And I worked with art therapy, which is the use of art to help people express themselves and work through problems and emotional difficulties. And so I became a licensed professional counselor intern, and I worked at Houston's First Baptist Church in the counseling center there, working with children and family using art therapy. All along, I've always done my own work. In high school, I was told that I need to do the gifted and talented class, like after school program, and I discovered watercolor, and that was kind of my first introduction to real art materials, and I fell in love with it. Was exhibited in a school library, and that's kind of my first understanding, like, this is my world. But I was born in Egypt, and I was told by parents that you can't do art, you can't, that's not a real career.
Uh-huh.
So that's why I majored in psychology in college, and it was like, okay, gotta find something else. But frankly, I'd wished I had listened to my intuition all along and really pursued my first love, which is art, and took it seriously. But I'm nearing 40 now, so I finally realized my dream, and I'm now able to do that full time. So after having children, I stayed home with them, and now they're 4.5 and 7.5. So I'm able to, walk away from that. I left the art therapy world, and now I'm focusing more on doing this full time. And my work, kind of because I've had the art therapy training, is always kind of looking at emotions and working through things through the use of art. And so I really believe in the art is healing. The process of making art is healing. The process of sitting with art and talking about it is healing. It connects people. It allows people to slow down and really be present and look. And so that's what my art is about. It's narrative, it's autobiographical, it's storytelling, and it's mixed media, acrylic, and collage work. Sometimes I use encaustic, which is a beeswax mixed with Damar resin and pigment, and that allows for a lot of multiple layers and working in collage in a really illuminating way and transparent way, and building up. So I'm interested in using materials in a unique way that grabs people's attention. Things that juxtaposing things that don't normally go together, but so getting people to think is what interests me. So yeah, if you have any questions about any of the specific pieces, I'd love to answer.
Sure. I guess a follow-up question on that is when you start a piece, what kind of process do you take?
That's a really good question. So my process is I work in a sketchbook all the time. Either I am drawing from inspiration, like an Ansel Adams book, or drawing from life, or drawing from internal. I'm always trying to draw and just kind of it's almost like a diaristic process in a journal. So that's one place. Another place is just like I'm always collecting images. So one of the things I learned as a visual arts studio art major in college was keeping an image bank. So I used to do it literally, like cut out pictures, whatever found materials I keep for collage. But now we have Pinterest, so I put it up on boards, and I have like categories, and my categories, because my interests are natural material. So I have flowers, birds, butterflies, wings, trees. So those are my categories. And so whenever I find images that interest me, I'll collect into those categories.
I see.
And so when I'm ready to make a piece, it's either like, I try to make it a practice, so it's a discipline. Whereas before, I'd be like, an artist feels like this energy, like I have to make work, otherwise I'm sick.
Wow.
Yeah, like if I haven't made work for too long, like everybody in my family knows it, and they're like, "Go make art." You need, that's why for me, really, that connection of art and healing is so important. So it's like the need to make art. It's just such a core for me.
It's like how you express yourself, right? And how you share with others.
Yeah, it's just how I exist in the world. I think how I was made, what I was created to do.
That makes sense. So if you're not like, fulfilling your purpose, I can see how you would feel sick in that way.
Yeah, and it's almost like artists traditionally in different cultures were like the voice and the heart of the culture, and we feel deeply, and we're very sensitive. So unless we express that, it goes inward and it's not healthy. So it needs to be expressed.
Wow.
And so it used to be that I'd leave it to that, and then I'd have to do it. But now, because as I grow older, I have more awareness of it. I'm making it more of a practice and a discipline. So I try to be in my studio at least 3 times a week, and somewhere from 3 to 10 hours at a time. And I'll just work, and I don't necessarily. It takes a while to start, and I think that's kind of a theme. A lot of artists, some people just have to sweep their studio, have to do something, and then finally you just go. And I'll start. What I do is I'll piece together images, and a lot of artists, I want to start doing this more. They'll use Photoshop to kind of work out the piece ahead of time. I'll actually just sketch, but I'm gonna start doing that more, where I'll start using those apps. You learn things and you're like, oh, I gotta start doing that. But I'll sketch and I'll put together images and ideas, and I'll work out a composition in my sketchbook, and then I'll go to a palette that I want to work on. Like for this one, like I knew I wanted to work with this palette, and I'll try to find mostly greens, and then I'll have some complementary reds and yellows. So I'll have my composition, I'll work out my composition, and then I'll work out my palette, and then I have a stash of the found materials what I use for collage.
Okay.
So I'll just it'll all come together.
Wow.
And it'll come together in a way that I don't
didn't even
necessarily
expect,
anticipate.
right?
Yeah, and that's the fun, and that's the finding out and the serendipity in the process, and letting the work tell you what it needs.
That's very deep.
So yeah.
Beautiful.
So that's how I do it.